We're going to resume recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Where'd David go? I saw him on here. David, are you here? David, it looks like you might be muted.
I can still hear you guys, so if you want to go.
Yeah, all right.
I just have to reboil my water.
We've got quorum now, so we can go ahead and get started. So we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9:07. All right, any public comment from anybody? I think probably not, right? So yeah, the first item for vote is approving the meeting minutes from November. Everyone should have gotten that in the email from last week. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve the minutes from November.
Great. Somebody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right. Social media recap. I can stop screen sharing, Lizzie, if you've got slides.
Yeah, I'll get them up. Sorry, all the windows. I keep way too many windows open. There it is.
Yeah.
Like all the tabs. Okay. So here we go. The report for December. Things are in good shape. We're seeing really good reach on both Facebook and Instagram. This is page reach for the month of December. 24,000 people reached on Facebook and over 1,000 on Instagram. And you can see, you know, the peaks aren't always the same, which I kind of like to see because users might be seeing us more frequently if they're looking at both platforms. I don't know why that line got broken, but we've been boosting ads and running likes campaigns. Paid reach is close to 15,000 and paid impressions close to 23,000 people. Our page likes on Facebook, we're at 6.2 and closing in on 1,000 Instagram followers. You'll see slightly more women than men follow us. And on Facebook, it's mostly the 35 to 54 range. And on Instagram, it's gonna tend to skew younger, 25 to 44. One thing we are doing this year that we're making an intention around is getting more Evanston followers. So right now we're launching a likes campaign specific to Evanston, and we'll feature Good to Go and Peckish Pig Photography and the Sweet Temptations Bakery, which I know Evanston parents get. I've seen them get birthday cakes, like those beautiful cakes for their kids. And I think there's a lot of different angles we can appeal to in the Evanston audience and grow followers to get people coming down to the Factory Theater when shows are open and upstairs for costumes and explore Howard Street, not just the Evanston businesses. On Facebook, here I have this photo. This is the top post from December, the 4D snow globe that was hung in Willie White. It reached nearly 7,000 people, had almost 200 reactions, and close to 600 clicks. And here's the photo of him, which I had to show us really big because it's just so cool that you can stand in this canvas and look like you're in a bubble. On Instagram, the Anto video and posts about Anto are performing really well. So we've been repeating every video, and that one we're repeating and pushing a little harder because it just performs so well. In terms of video, we paused with the end of the year. So we still have to deliver to Cindy, and we'll do it this week, the Legacy Barber College Factory Theater video, which looks really, really good, and brewery. Part of it was pivoting that we were going to announce the show for Factory, and, incorporate more of that, and for brewery announce opening. So we've pivoted it and made them more like timeless in general. And then with Legacy, we really kind of struggled with how much to include about his backstory in this kind of like 2-minute upbeat social media, come visit Howard Street video. And, it's just such a long thing to go into, and so serious. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board with that one. But those 3 are wrapping up. We'll get them to Cindy. Cindy will approve. And then I know Tim and Phil, I bet you want to see yours. It looks really good. So we'll make sure that you see it. And
and I don't know if you guys are going to want to time that release closer to, when your opening date is, or maybe that's a teaser that goes out now. And then again, as we get closer to the March reopening.
I like that idea because I'd like people to remember that we're here and then remind them that we're still here.
Yeah.
So which was it, to put it closer to March or do it now as a reminder?
Both.
Both. Okay. Got it. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm clear. Yeah. And I think we could just link to your website. It doesn't have to have a big call to action associated with it, because it's, just about Howard Street and Factory Theater. Showed you these 2 pages. Actually, we did the holiday, speaking of Factory Theater, this was our 2nd top performing post with the Factory Theater holiday virtual plays. Athena always performs so well. So happy. And Here's Our Us reached 3.6 thousand people. This one tends to do well too. We're running, we tend to always run a generalized campaign that looks like this with brand language, the hero image that we use on the website and Facebook, so that we're, trying to always just be present and grow followers. And then now the Evanston focused one too. Web traffic, this I think is directly related to Omicron, especially since, and COVID in general, since we're promoting, supporting local businesses, we're promoting getting out. You can see like when there are surges in cases, our web traffic's lower. It's like very much related. So our web traffic did a lot better in 2021 than it did in 2020. Still not to the height of pre-pandemic, but kind of all makes sense. And then our Google ad results are really steady, and we're seeing a good click-through rate on our ads. That's what I got. Any questions?
I think it occurred to me, like, just as you were sort of talking about, like, sort of some of the seasonality of some of the posts, like now that we're like through the holidays, I don't know when's the last time that we ran anything with the photography from Buffalo Joe's, but heading into like Super Bowl season, definitely have some stuff for him in January, because it's a busy time of year. Everybody wants wings for their Super Bowl parties.
Yeah, great point.
And then, the other issue that we sort of ran into was, we were still doing I'm So Hungry, and I didn't realize that he had closed, which is a bummer. So I'm going to reach out to Bannerville and have those banners taken down. But then that sort of begs the question that was already on my mind a little bit as to whether we want to do another round of photography, maybe in the spring or summer, for, some of those folks that have opened in the last few months, or will be opening in the case of Howard Brewery, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it'd be great to get, like I mentioned, Sweet Temptations. And I was also thinking if we want to redo Factory Theater, we should consider that, just because some of those photos, I think some of the people in those photos aren't as involved as they used to be. So Cindy, if that's something in the budget, and we can certainly put together a list and get that.
Eventually, yeah.
Peak.
Yeah, like that one was on my mind. And then I actually have a contact now with a Tally Ho. We've never included the Tally Ho before.
And then Jarvis businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, horseplay. I think we got some photography of when we did video filming, but like they weren't quite open at the time and now are. So, but yeah, and we'll see if any other businesses open. I know there's a new hair salon over there by kind of near Hairs R Us. There's a Jamaican jerk place that's been in the works for a couple months. I'm not sure what her timeline is, but you know, we do have some new stuff kind of coming online, and then some folks that weren't able to do it last time. Just that we have sort of more content to rotate in, and then when we do like larger ad pushes around like the holidays and things like that, to have photography that we can use. I ended up having to update our annual directory page ad for Howard Street because 2 of the businesses that were on there are no longer open. So we had to rotate in new photographers. So it's helpful to have when stuff like that pops up.
Yeah, I can share that too if people.
Oh yeah.
Here. Yeah, we did. This is the most recent. We just make sure, yeah, the businesses are open and running, obviously, and then there's just diversity of business type, of demographic of business owner. So this is the current one that
Yeah.
I'm on.
Oh, hi, this is Dave Scora. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
David. Yeah.
Hi, thanks. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you for the report. I wanted to ask about in terms of other places, and maybe I didn't hear it when you mentioned it, Cindy. Is there any timeline for that grocery?
So I don't have a specific timeline for him yet, because that's going to be a pretty intense build out, because that space is in kind of rough shape. I believe that Alderman hadn't signed off on his lifting of the liquor moratorium. So I think from there he's got to do like his business license and then, you know, all his permitting. So I don't have a target date from them yet, but I do know that it is moving forward.
Okay, so that'll be a while, probably.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll be able to include him if we're doing a spring photo shoot, because I don't think he's going to be ready. I could be wrong, but I don't want to count on that.
Right. And I just, as a, because of my background and all, I also, Lizzie, wanted to mention again, the businesses on the Evanston side, we're a city of Chicago body. And I think we need to be very, very careful about using the funding to promote the Evanston side without being able to point at something reciprocal or whatever from Evanston itself that would help the Chicago side.
Well, you missed it, actually. So Lanice actually is a property owner on the Chicago side now. She purchased the Dearborn Wholesale Building and is getting ready to turn it into a banquet hall. So we do have some of those folks that now own property on both sides. So they are paying in, even if it's not, that specific business just yet. And I've been talking with them about, because she's also president of their Merchants Association. She may be applying to join as a commissioner here as well. And I've been talking with them about, I think long-term, if they form an SSA for their side of Howard, that, we can then coordinate. That'll be, that's I think, personally for me, that's the ultimate goal. But in the meantime, their economic development arm has been paying for a lot of stuff. So when we did the lights, they did pay for their own lights. I'm trying to get them to use our banners. The reason that they didn't was because the former alderman didn't like the design, but she has since retired. So I think we're reopening that discussion. So we're making progress in sort of standardizing.
I think
great.
Sometimes, like the experience for the visitor, people don't walk down Howard Street and think, oh, now I'm stepping into Evanston and now I'm stepping into Chicago. They just come to Howard Street for this experience. And if we can get people from Evanston because they've heard of Peckish Pig and they'll go there for a bite, but then, they'll go to a show at Factory Theater, or they'll go, explore other businesses. From them, it's one inclusive experience. And for us, it's an audience that we want to make sure that we're reaching. So we never make it a majority of the posts or majority of the spending. We're really cautious about that, but it's also something to, like this ad doesn't have, as Cindy said, an Evanston business because with
Yeah.
Right. No,
property.
I understand. It's, you know, I don't want us to get caught in any kind of political in the future. We're using tax money, so I just think we have to document the kinds of things that Cindy was talking about. Hopefully, you know, are documented in case 6 months from now somebody brings it up. But because it's tax money, we just have to be very careful and make sure that at least there's a quid pro quo that we can point to.
Yeah, and some of them are RPBA members as well, worth noting. So, but yeah. So the big, you know, sort of meat of today's agenda, you know, having sort of got through the social media recap and everything is you know, pinning down dates and goals for 2022 events. You know, we sort of started looking at you know, the in-person return of Chalk Howard Street and what days work for that. We had originally sort of started circling around like, you know, mid-August, August 16th, based on other scheduled events that RPBA is putting on and other districts and things. But then, you know, Lizzie and her team had reached out to Joan at 5 Grain, who's produced the event the last few times that we did it. They didn't have availability on some of those dates. So I think we were looking at, what did we say, August 6th? And, you know, I just wanted to sort of see how everybody's feeling on that. Oh, Sandy's logging in. You know, as far as what we want to plan for and get out of Chalk Howard 2022. So let Sandy get situated here. It looks like she just joined us.
Morning,
Hi, Sandy.
everybody. Good morning.
Morning,
So you're
Sandy.
here right in time to start talking about events.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chalk Howard's the big one. But then, you know, this year, you know, we also have, you know, Jarvis now that's like more fully integrated into the SSA. And I know Renee, you'd said that you were meeting with the group yesterday to maybe nail down some dates and sort of pin down when your events were going to be. So what all did you guys decide?
We have a lot. We actually were looking to do, it's just now in the early stages because we can't do our Rogers Pork or our Jarvis Square Arts and Events because we have the fresco in the way. So I've been talking to some car collectors and do something along the lines of a car collector show where they would be parking from Ashland up to the train tracks and then on the other side of the train tracks and having a band at the east end of the street. We, especially since it's the first year, I'm wondering, because we had set a date as August 6th, but I think we could kind of do this two simultaneously. And it might be good for both.
And it's interesting that you say that too, because I had a conversation with Juan and Elizabeth at Legacy Barber College, and they have wanted to do a car show on Howard for a minute. And so I reached out to them last week and was like, hey, you know, is that still something that you're looking to do? You know, should I try to you know, get that in to our event budget this year in some form or fashion? And if so, like, you know, what support do you need? What would that look like? And I think they're still in the early stages, but he's a member of, I guess, several car clubs, and so has a lot of connections in that world and has been wanting to do that for a minute. So I don't know if that, you know, is something that would be able to be done along Ashland, or Sandy had raised the potential of potentially using the Wisdom Bridge lot, maybe at the same time as Chalk Howard's going on. But it is kind of cool that there's definitely some interest in a car show in SSA 19.
Right. I had reached out to a woman that runs the CIA DC building. And so she collects cars. And I mean, our only fear is having a whole bunch of not like-minded people there. So what we've started to do is I started looking into minority car collectors and LGBTQ car collectors who would want to come and do this.
Very cool.
And there's also, there's also the van clubs. I don't know if you guys are that much aware of it, but there's, like I have some customers that have actual, like their clubs, and then they customize their vans that are really cool.
Mhm.
Like van
Yeah.
life, nice.
They're really excellent.
There were like
Oh,
the
I know.
cool like airbrush like paintings on the side of it
Oh,
and
like,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like just outrageous. And then those van clubs, they travel, together. Like
Yeah.
they'll go to Missouri together, for like 4 days and stuff. But
Yeah. And I think Juan's folks are more like the fun, like Fast and Furious kind of cars. 'Cause he's into that
or it
stuff.
could be like low riders.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
stuff that Jody has is like Model A's, a Corvair, some really nifty stuff. So that was the one thing we were doing, and we were looking at August 6th for that. For the movie that we would kick off, we were kind of hoping to do a musical of some sort. And, I know like Sound of Music is a big musical to be seen, but Nazis are scary, and especially to kids. So we decided not to do that, but we thought Encanto might be good.
Yeah. And I should be able to get the rights by the time it's spring.
I've also spoke with someone over at Family Matters, because it's really an event that we want the whole neighborhood to be part of.
Yeah.
So they would also be letting everyone know there, because especially with our community space, there's lots of places people can sit that whether they bring their own chairs, if the coffee shop isn't open, we have that parklet. So it would be much more community driven.
Yeah. I think the lesson from the holiday one is that, maybe we want to get smaller equipment for the screen, because the screen that we had rented actually was too big. They ended up using the side of the truck.
Right.
So either, maybe we look into buying one of the littler inflatable ones to do our own. Or Renee, I don't know if you have, like, because I remember when you did the Loyola ball game where the truck was just a whole LED monitor, like that would be cool.
Yeah, they were expensive is
Yeah,
the only
all right.
thing.
Yeah, then maybe that's not the answer, but it's something that might merit research. Because
Right.
the rights are going to be like $400, like no matter what.
So how expensive, Renee?
I think he was 5,000, and I talked him down to 2,500 or 3,000.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
like
that's
twice
still-
what
that's
we
still
paid for
twice
the
as
guy that
much
we
as-
used.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, because he normally will go park down on Division Street.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so
couple
spring
things-
outdoor movies.
yes. We were talking about a big garage sale on June 11th.
All right.
We also, which I think could be fun, July 20th, it's something that we're still in the process of, and we were going to call it ROPA Has Talent, or Rogers Park Has Talent, whether it be Battle of the Bands or different types of talent things that we could do with a stage. And it could be something that people get involved with, kind of like at Factory Theater or something. They have a few preliminary rounds, or you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, that could be cool.
RPH will have a preliminary, so we can get more people involved to that. Of course, Pride is the 26th. September 18th is Oktoberfest. We also talked about an All Nations Day on October 9th. If we could get people from different nationalities and that to basically have a food festival out on the street. Because we have so many different, nationalities represented just in Rogers Park.
You said
And-
October 9th.
Yeah.
Oops.
We have a lot of other small ones, but those are the big ones.
Yeah, Okay, cool. Yeah, those make sense. And then Artisan Market, one day a
Can I
month.
ask if anybody has Can I ask if anybody has Juneteenth on their radar?
We were gonna do a beer tasting. That's also Father's Day. Isn't that the 19th?
Yeah.
It's the 19th.
Yeah, it's Father's Day. So we were gonna do a beer tasting and promoting the 5 black breweries in and around Chicago.
So we did learn this past year, 2021, that the 49th Ward was very involved in getting something done on Juneteenth for the city and had nothing planned in the ward itself. So it looks like maybe we're on our own to do something. So
Well, last year we did we co-sponsored. I mean, we wrote a check for a Just Harvest for their Juneteenth event where they did the pavement mural on Paulina. I don't know if they or Just Harvest or one of the other organizations is looking to do a Juneteenth thing again this year. I would think probably maybe, but I haven't heard anything specifically from them.
I don't know, Cindy, because their thing wasn't going to be a Juneteenth thing. It was supposed to happen on June 12th, and we asked them to move it to June 19th. So I don't know if they have it on their radar either, but maybe we should just ask around a little bit and see what we can find.
Yeah. Yeah, I the next North of Howard organization meeting, it was supposed to be this Friday, but it was going to be an in-person luncheon that they've canceled because of Omicron. So I think it got pushed to February, but I can email that group and see if anyone's got anything cooking for Juneteenth.
That'd be great.
Cindy, as far as our artisan markets,
Yeah.
we are doing a small one indoor February 12th. It'll only have like 6 to 10 artists, but then we'll do one on the 30th of April, and then it will be the 3rd weekend of the month for the rest of the year.
Cool. So third Saturday of the month.
I'm looking up, yes, 3rd Saturday of the month.
Renee, if you get going on the garage sale thing for June, I think it would be really good if we could coordinate for Howard Street and, have a bunch of people, set up for a garage sale. I think a lot of people would appreciate it.
I think it would be awesome because I don't know if you guys ever go down to the ones they have, like there's one over in Roscoe Village that's just streets and streets, and they basically send out a little map of who's doing stuff. And if we let our people in the neighborhood know, they could even put stuff out. Or like when they have the dump days in Evanston where everyone puts stuff out and they're not charged, and basically people go through that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a big event if we get it neighborhood wide.
Everybody in Rogers Park are collectors.
Right? Nobody has anything to put out. Everybody wants to buy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But if we could even head something to the point where we say that we're going to do it, anybody of interest lets us know, and then all we have to do is produce a map that can be online because pretty much everyone has their phones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of an easy one to put together. And I don't have Halloween on here, but that's obviously kind of low hanging fruit too. It's just handing out candy. Hopefully we have better weather this year.
We actually, if you find out about the screens, we want to do a bigger Rocky Horror.
Oh,
we want to do that on the 27th
of June,
of October. So it'd be the Saturday before Halloween.
Ooh, yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that. Because we've been renting them. Oh, go ahead.
We did a parade one time on Howard Street that was really successful. You remember that, Sandy?
For Halloween?
Yeah. And it was great. I mean, there was probably 1,000 people showed up.
It was with the Red Moon Theater Company.
Exactly.
And it was, I would say, Charlotte. Kevin Richards organized it, so it would have been 18 years ago, maybe.
Right.
but it was with Red Moon Theater Company, who is no longer around.
Right.
And they used to do this, you know, so it was actors that were
Mhm.
dressed up, and yeah, it was great.
Right. Right.
For movies, I was going to say, you know, when we've done them in the past, we've usually rented the equipment, but then Rachel who you know is on our team, was, you know, she sometimes assists other chambers, and she Andersonville bought theirs, and it was not that expensive. We ended up borrowing some of it for an event we did on Devon. So maybe that's something we look into, either borrowing their setup or just buying one of our own.
Burger Park also has their own. So when we do it in the police plaza with the Rogers Edge group, they just borrow it from Burger Park. So they have the whole setup too.
And then we only have to pay for the rights.
Mhm. I don't know if
Is it-
they actually,
yeah.
I don't know if they have an inflatable. I'm trying to remember what kind of a screen they have. They have something. I don't remember.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's sort of seems to be like kind of where we're at as far as like, you know, the other smaller events, you know, that are sort of stacking up. I'll follow up with folks about Juneteenth, and look into, you know, the outdoor movie equipment costs. But Chalk Howard, you know, so we're thinking August. I think we're still looking to have it be not more than a 1-day event. I think 2 is maybe too much. But how's everybody feeling about that?
How many participants are you thinking of having?
I mean,
Chalk
visitor
artists.
vendors.
Chalk
Oh,
artists.
chalk artists. And we haven't, I mean, this is the conversation, I believe, where we're, you know, deciding if we want to build out the concept for the event. In 2019, there were 6, right? So it would be probably up to 6, not necessarily bigger than 2019.
I think if we could get at least 6 artists, that would be a really good thing. I know the last time, you know, when we had Nate over, a couple people said, oh, they were under the impression that there was going to be more than one artist, you know, for the Halloween event. And, you know, a couple people said, oh, they were disappointed. They thought they were going to see a couple more artists. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, I did hear that from some folks too. So like, if we're
Yeah.
going to do it, I think it makes sense to have, you know, like you said, at least as many pros as we've had before.
Yeah, I agree. Oh no, Kitty.
And I don't know, like, I know, Lizzie, that you had reached out to Joan about dates. Had you been in contact with Nate at all? Because I know he was maybe moving this summer, right, as his wife's heading into residency.
Yeah, so he, I think that we should kind of decide that we want to move forward in the dates, and then he has availability, but it's going to take a few more conversations. So I think that we should, like, not necessarily base it around.
Yeah, because that's the bottleneck at this point is, you know, we need a date so that, you know, we can book artists.
Yeah, I think and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we need this group to decide we want to move forward with it, right?
I say yes to a 1-day event. I think it'd be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think something like Renee mentioned, a date in conjunction with something on Jarvis would be the best, you know, would be the best synergy for that.
I think it would be a nice could go nicely hand in hand, especially since we're only starting off. So ours isn't going to be that big of an event, and it's only going to be 1 day. So, I mean, we had a lot of people in 2019. was it? It was, I think, the same weekend as the Jarvis Square Arts and Music event. And we did have a lot of people walking back and forth.
Right.
I didn't realize it was the same day.
I think it was. There was
Because
some,
I thought Chuck
one
Howard
year-
was July, and I thought Rogers Park Music and Arts was August. Maybe I'm.
oh, it is
reversing.
August.
Yeah.
There was something going on in Jarvis Square the same time that you guys had it, because we had a lot of people. I had totally forgot who said they had just come over from there. So then
Yeah.
we finished up and ran over there to check it out at the end.
Maybe the Bastille Day event.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And something
feels
like
like you're-
Charlotte, yeah, something like Charlotte mentioned that had an opportunity for the merchants too. So the weather would make a difference.
Yeah. Because I think, the other piece of it is, okay, like we've got a date, we know we want to move forward. We just got to sort of, have a budget put together, and sort of the scope of, okay, so we have 6 chalk artists and what else is there that's going on, if anything. So.
Right. Right. No, that's a good point, Cindy. And I think that's one of the advantages of tying, that idea of what else is going on, or why should I go there on this weekend instead of going to another area. If it's something on Jarvis and something on Howard, I think that just strengthens the let's go see that, angle.
Yeah, I remember too, a big goal was driving traffic to businesses and building awareness of individual businesses and making sure that the vendors, the food and merchant vendors were local to the street. And I think there was one that was Rogers Park and not just Howard Street. But making sure that it, was a good day of business for everybody on the street.
Yeah, Cindy, that might give you an opportunity to check, to try to see if the Evanston people were interested in doing anything too. So.
Yeah, I mean, because we're for Evanston food businesses that might, make sense as vendors during the event. I mean, we're really only talking about Packaged Pig, Sweet Temptations, and Good to Go. Like those are really the primary, food businesses on that side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would
be
be interested in setting up a tent. But
Yeah.
They also may very well not be, because maybe an outdoor street festival in the heat is maybe not as consistent with their brand, their goals. Like because all those guys do weddings in the summer. That's wedding season, so they might already be spoken for. But yeah, we can certainly throw that out there.
No, we've also talked about like a comedy festival or something to kind of involve. I'm thinking of Factory Theater here, just making sure there's lots of stuff going on and entertainment and using the different spaces and venues. So I think last time we had talked about like using Factory Theater and having either like the ensemble be putting on something that day or that time, or like having a comedy show or something in the space that would help promote the theater.
One of the things that we've been talking about loosely is trying to maybe do a playwriting festival, a short play kind of festival at the theater. So it would be, it would happen from Friday to Sunday. The scripts get written in those 48 hours and then performed on Sunday. Maybe there's a way of incorporating elements of that with this. Maybe it's simply the performance of those little pieces at the end of one of these events or something like that. It's also always about availability, because when we're not performing ourselves, we are renting our space. So it's about looking at when the space would actually be available if we were going to use that as the venue.
There's also the potential that if we are performing, we could make it some kind of discount ticket price for community members or, festival goers. Possibly with like a small reception afterwards so people can hang out in space, or even if it's not us in space, depending on what time is available, we could still have something in the space before or after one of our renters. So there's potential of us working with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, some opportunity to showcase the theaters, yours and the other one and so on. Trying to figure out some way to tie that in would be important. It doesn't need to be necessarily, your biggest event of the year, but it could be, bringing in highlights or something or other, whatever it is, or if any of the people want to perform as individuals, whatever. But yeah, that would definitely be an essential part of it.
Yeah.
And we always have musicians that can perform at anything you need them for. They're always chomping at the bit.
Yeah, no, it's basically to try to get you the exposure when there are people around. So.
Are theaters still doing Barrel of Monkeys?
Barrel of Monkeys still exists. Yes, one of our ensemble members is very active with Barrel of Monkeys.
Because I had gone to a few in the past, maybe at Athenaeum, and they were always incredibly well attended, and people who sometimes weren't going to the theater to see what was going on.
That's a great thought, because if they would want to put something together in correlation with the factory, that's easily done. Like I said, our ensemble member, Lindsay Falls, is very active with them. I never even thought of that.
Gee, that would be terrific. And in terms of people going back and forth between the two areas, that would be a big draw. And I think for people who know, just like when I was saying, for people who know that name but may not know some of the other things locally here, that might attract them over here, which would be a first time exposure.
Add it to the list.
Yeah. Cool. So I think, from here, like we've kind of got a date. It sounds like we're looking at August 6th. I can, sort of follow up with Lizzie as far as, getting Joan in the loop and putting together, proposal and right sizing budget, knowing that we've got, all of these other events that are sort of percolating for summer. Because I think that'll be good, to try and get people back out on Howard Street and do so in a way that has buy-in from the community and brings people out, but also brings people in from surrounding neighborhoods.
I'd like to see us, try to concentrate on the garage sale thing too.
Yeah. Was there a date for that, Renee, or was that still sort of in flux?
June 11th.
Cool.
We figure it's pre-parents getting out of town because their kids are out of CPS.
Right. Well, cool. That's sort of all I've got for events. I mean, we'll firm some of those up and probably come back, but yeah, thanks for bringing some good ideas. I think it'll be an exciting year. Back down, if we're good with that, number 6 on the agenda was, sort of continued discussion as to how we want to incorporate Jarvis onto the website. Lizzie, I think had previously showed us some mock-ups of what that might look like. So I'll sort of, toss that to her and to sort of run through, what we've kind of been talking about.
Yeah, so we've I can pull up the concept, but the idea was to create a kind of sister or cousin website to the Howard Street website that has maybe that blue from your logo, your brand across the top, and has the similar positioning and copy specific to Jarvis, with Jarvis Photography and Jarvis Business. So I think if that is something that, you know, we want to do, we can similarly put together, you know, the estimate around that and the timeline. I think we mentioned photography. That would be a great first step, so that we have that beautiful photography to use. And the sites would, you know, connect. So it'd be easy to get from one to the other, but still they'd look a little different. So people know that they're not going to, they don't think they're going to a Howard Street business, but they're going to a Jarvis business, so there's no confusion. The Howard Street site has information about the SSA. It has stories of each business. It used to have events, which we could bring back as events come back. It has, you know, links to the Rogers Park publications that RPBA puts together, and it has a news section. So any coverage that we get or PR, there's, you know, running updates there. So we would be managing both for both areas.
You're still looking for the page where you have the
Yeah, I can pull
not
it up.
wireframes, but like sort of the design
Yeah, it's
concepts.
much less sophisticated than a wireframe. It's just sort of just like a concept. We have not, and I'm only saying that just to say, you know, it's not, it's just sort of a concept. It's not very.
Yeah, because it you know, as I recall seeing it, it was kind of the same, you know, form and structure as the existing Howard Street website, but just palette swapped basically with the blue.
Yeah. Right here. So, can I?
Yeah,
can you stop sharing?
Lizzie. Yeah, Lizzie, I think I understood what you said, and I can see that it makes sense to have a separate website for each place to feature what's going on there. But I feel strongly that each of the websites should have a section that's updated, constantly updated, a small section about what's going on, you know, whether it's bullets, whatever it is, in the sister area. And I think it's, you know, it's very important to for people who don't live around here, don't get the geographic distance, the fact that the areas are close and so on, that we need to make that explicit on each website, that, you know, 2 blocks or whatever it is, however it's done, whether it's done through copy or whatever, and that needs to be up all the time on each website, not just a link that has a name that people might not understand if they're not from immediately around here, but something that will help draw people who might go to one website for whatever reason to the other one.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think like the Jarvis website could have even like the map and how to get there, and, you know, make sure it looks, you know, it's really close. And on the red line, and, you know, explore more businesses. Let's list them, and then vice versa, and just kind of have the mirror image.
Yeah, and the 2 events, right, and the little blurbs and things like that, right?
Right.
Or like having it be in the navigation at the, you know, that sort of top menu or navigation on both of them. So like when you're on the Jarvis page, there's a Howard button in that top menu, and on the Howard Street page, there's a Jarvis menu in the top. That basically, you know, you click it and it'll load like the Jarvis page, but the Jarvis page looks just like the Howard Street one, but is a different color and has some different photography. To sort of create that continuity.
Right. No, that's an important thing to do too. But I think there needs to be a little bit of push on each website to try to get people to push, you know, to click that button, not just so that it's not just sitting there, but there's some sort of you know, marketing effort on each page for the other area. Obviously not a major part necessarily, but something that highlights the most likely things at that particular week or month or whatever, and just gives a little blurb that makes it clear how what the connections are, the geographic connection, the businesses connection, and so on, the neighborhood connection.
Cindy, can you take your screen down? It's not letting
Yeah,
me view.
I will just take that down. All right, you should be good.
So yeah, this was like rough, but yeah, I would, and we can make this like, so this would be the Jarvis, and would have a button for Howard Street, which we can like make work a little harder. Like it could, it could say something more active, like discover businesses or discovered experience in Howard Street, and then vice versa. So we had, yeah, like this was a sample bus shelter. So we'd want to do that photography and then work through a site map and build out a site similar to Howard Street's.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's, it's distinct enough that Jarvis has and retains its own identity, but it's not where we're reinventing the wheel.
Right. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot easier coming up with that than when we were doing Howard Street,
Right, because
That
there's
was
like
tough.
there's already a path, and like the basics are there. It's sort of customizing it to reflect, Jarvis and
Mhm.
integrate that into the brand. But it's such a good brand like that already exists that it's easy to harmonize that.
Yeah, if there was, it looks very nice. If there was some sort of tagline like, 2 streets, 2 blocks apart or something like that, and explore them both or something like that, that went along, that was up on the bottom like that would add to it too.
Mhm.
Something like connected by community and a train stop.
Mhm.
Cool. Anything else on Jarvis Square website? For camera expansion, I put that on here. I was hoping that I'd have quotes back from Audio Electronics for adding some additional cameras on Jarvis. I know that's been something that we've been wanting to do, particularly, as we're getting ready to hopefully bring, some of the alfresco stuff online this spring. I'll be following up with him because I know Charlotte had also expressed an interest in potentially trying to get some on the other side of the street across from you, and some stuff that's more at eye level to capture, some of what's been going on as far as, break-ins, people messing with locks. We've got really great views of the street from our existing cameras, but not super fantastic views of like business entrances. And that's been more, I think, an area where folks feel that it's more needed. And Charlotte, Renee, like if you guys have anything to add on that, you're welcome to. But camera expansion, I think has been sort of flagged as a need because of some of what's been going on.
Well, I'm hoping to add 4 cameras to the system that we have over on Howard and Greenview, because of the fact that, you can't see the people that are actually walking down the sidewalk. And that's, that's where a lot of the crime happens. And I think he gave us a price quote of, I think it was $1,900 for adding the 4 cameras. So I think it's reasonable. It will see for like a block and a half in every direction, or 2 blocks.
Cool. And Renee, you had met with him like a while back. Did you have a specific number in mind as to how many you were planning to have or looking to have facing out onto the alfresco area?
Well, part of it was we needed to talk to Mr. Choi to see if he would put it on that empty wall across
Oh,
the
right,
way,
yeah.
which would be great. And then if we could get 2 or 3, one that would go down Greenview,
Mm-hmm.
and then one that would be from that same corner of Greenview Jarvis looking toward the parking lot.
Okay. So like in front of
And-
Charmers?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds
I-
good.
Yeah, I have one now. It gets part of the street and then from our public house just to the tavern. So I don't know if you'd want one further back or what, but
Do we need to vote on this?
Well, we don't have quotes at this point, so like I don't have concrete proposals yet. I was hoping that I would, but I'll be following up, I think, with Ron to firm up some proposals, I think, to take to the next meeting. So hopefully,
Renee, does the CTA viaduct block any of what you're talking about? with the
no,
cameras?
it's west of where the cameras are.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go on to another meeting. So is there anything that we need to vote on?
I don't think we have any more voting items, and we can probably wrap up because I've got to get ready for another meeting myself. Yeah, we'll come back. Cameras will stay on for next meeting. And hopefully we'll have some more detail on some of the events and the camera proposal. As far as other, updates, I think I shared with some of you at the beginning, I'm Soul Hungry has closed. I'm still not sure yet what's happening with Lady B. Last I talked to her, which was just before the holidays, she and her partner were in Jamaica and had both been hospitalized with COVID. So I'm not sure if they're back yet, and what their plans are as far as reopening timeline. Some of you may be aware, Jay Johnson has sold the Howard Theater building. And I know he was an investor in Salerno's and might still be. Callie reached out to me. She's, kind of worried for their longevity, said that she'd spoken to them and it's been, kind of a struggle. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that. Soul Cafe is still on the market, but she's marketing it herself. So it's not listed with a broker anymore, but Simone is still exploring a sale. So yeah, just
I'm
kind of
sorry.
keeping an eye on that stuff.
What did you say about Callie? I missed what you said about.
She reached out to me about some concern about Salerno's. They're struggling. And she's, kind of worried about them staying put. So
They don't have regular hours is one of their problems.
yeah,
But
and
I know
they're
that's really hard.
They're not open during the day. I know. They don't open till 4. But JB Alberto's does the same thing, and they're still doing gangbusters business. So yeah.
Cindy,
The
what's
pizza
going
by
on?
the slice is what's keeping Salerno's afloat right now. Nobody goes into the bar. I can tell you they did hire someone who is a community person. His name is Connor.
Okay.
And he's trying to fix that. How successful he'll be is yet to be determined.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Renee?
What's going on at Beach View Liquors?
A whole lot of nothing. The guy still refuses to fix all the code violations.
Well, mostly just because we're seeing like rats going in and out of the building. No one's icing the sidewalks, all the trash there. At
Call
least when
311. We want to put the
Okay.
pressure on them to either fix it or
good.
sell. So yeah.
Okay.
Unleash your rage at 311 regarding that building by all means.
I thought
Perfect.
it was up for sale right now.
It is, but every time he gets an interested buyer and they get closer to closing, he has this habit of hiking the price at the very last minute and the buyer walks.
It's crazy.
He's already asking too much money for the building, considering that he hasn't maintained it at all.
Well, what's he
Um,
asking?
Over 2 million.
like
Well, it's-
2.3.
Yeah.
I think it's like he's looking at it like a tear down, That's what it is, you know,
Not-
he's
yeah.
trying to get a developer interested.
I've been in
Most
Biddy
likely.
Mulligan's in the last year, I think it was, and there is still beer in the coolers that has mold all over it.
Oof. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in it myself, but before Torrance left the 49th Ward office, he was, you know, involved in dealing with that owner and trying to get him to sell. And they thought they were close, but then he jacked up the price like as they were heading into the closing, and so it fell apart, which is a bummer.
Yeah,
So,
Mhm.
it's
but
kind of
yeah,
odd.
you know, make it
you know.
unpleasant for him. Call 311 for that stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's all I've got. Thanks everybody for
Okay.
being here. And we'll see you in February, if not before.
Some
Thanks, everybody.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks
great
all.
to see you all.
Ah, you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
soon.